Edge, The Undertaker, and King Booker all came back tonight. My boy got his title back tonight. SmackDown celebrated 900 episodes, and despite all of that, still did a better job of promoting Survivor Series than Raw. It's almost comical at this point. What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz, Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, here with the November 5th, 900th episode of SmackDown Live, the true go-home show to Survivor Series. Started out tonight with a history package, retrospective, talking about, everything from the debut of SmackDown till now. Pretty good, as well as hyping up the rest of the night. Shane and Daniel Bryan come out for a promo, but they keep it nice and short. They come out, they welcome everybody to the 900th episode. They remind us that Edge and Undertaker are coming back tonight. And they say we're going to start with the Intercontinental Championship match. And that's it. We go to The Miz versus Dolph Ziggler for the Intercontinental Championship. Starts off, collar and elbow tie-up. Miz works the arm. Ziggler hits a reversal. Both men trade pin attempts and punches. And a backbreaker by The Miz sends us into the first commercial break. Coming back, we've got a drop kick from Dolph Ziggler and a back elbow, a back and a neck breaker by The Miz, surfboard and a rake to the face. Miz works the leg with a knee bar, and a boot by Ziggler is the counter to that. Rolling clotheslines by Ziggler, snake eyes and a neck breaker, sleeper with a body vice by Ziggler, back elbow by Ziggler, boot by The Miz, and a famouser by Ziggler sends us into the second commercial break. Nice long match to start the show. Other people could take notes. Both men trade punches, and then there's a takedown by Miz. Miz still mocking Daniel Bryan with the say it loud, say it proud, the Daniel Bryan silly kicks. Oh yes, and if that wasn't enough, follows it up with a Daniel Bryan style running knee before he hits the skull crushing finale. Dolph Ziggler comes back with a zigzag. The Spirit Squad come out for a distraction, which allows Miz to lock in the figure four. Roll up by Ziggler, but Maurice assists with a reversal. Roll up. Miz gets the Intercontinental Championship back. Miz is the one that gets to go on to Survivor Series on Sunday, represent SmackDown, defending the Intercontinental Championship against Sami Zayn. Now, those of you that don't like me or don't like The Miz are going to tell me, yeah, he is a transitional champion so that they can have Sami Zayn beat a heel in The Miz on Sunday for the big victorious, underdog Daniel Bryan-esque moment rather than doing it over another babyface like Dolph Ziggler. I get that. I am fully aware that this is going to be a 5-day title reign for The Miz and he's getting ready to hand it over to Sami Zayn on Sunday, but I don't mind that because I really do believe this is going to transition into Sami Zayn coming to SmackDown. There's no sense to the Intercontinental Championship and the United States Championship both being on Raw. I mean, really, we should be working on saving the United States Championship from Raw because it's Roman Reigns, isn't it? It's all good. It's all good. Sami Zayn is the underdog. Sami Zayn is the pure Snow White babyface. He needs a heel to go against. We can do the athletic competition between Dolph Ziggler and Sami Zayn somewhere down the line if and when one of them turns heel, and I don't mind waiting, to be perfectly honest with you. We replay the entire Raw confrontation that happened at the end of Raw last night that was cookie cutter and predictable and not that great. But then we start with our first SmackDown memory moment of the night, which is Steve Austin dropping a couple of beams and destroying the D-Generation X bus. Not a bad start. We show an interview with Randy Orton and Ryan Felipe, who are working together on the show Shooter, which is going to be on the USA Network. I don't know what that is for me up here in Canada, and to be perfectly honest with you, the last thing Ryan Felipe was in was Secrets and Lies, which was a show that succeeded in nothing but pissing me off because of the truth of it. It's a good show. Go check it out. There's shitty things happening in it, so the fact that it pissed me off means it's doing its job. It's like a good wrestling heel. But if you know me and you know some of my views on some of the issues out there in the world outside of wrestling, you'll understand why a show like Secrets and Lies pissed me off. But that's the last thing I saw Ryan Felipe in. Moving on. Alexa Bliss is in the back protesting to Daniel Bryan about the title match from Scotland last week, which Becky Lynch won, even though even though one of them had their feet on the ropes. Alexa Bliss tapped out to the disarmer, even though her foot was clearly on the ropes and the match should have stopped. Daniel Bryan tells her to focus on Survivor Series, and then Natty comes in with her whistle because, because whistle is how I'm going to describe that one, comes out with some cheap ass like wannabe coach quips that turn into a quote from Chumbawamba, which she then denies is a quote from Chumbawamba, which is what WWE has reduced Natty to, which is fantastic, I guess. Kalisto has a very, very predictable win over the debuting Oni Lorcan. Oni Lorcan is familiar to those of you that watch NXT. I don't particularly care for him in the ring, but if this is his transition to SmackDown or his, I don't know, I guess it's still a promotion if you go from NXT to SmackDown. It's a demotion if you go to Raw, that's for damn sure. Kalisto gets the obvious win. He's the one that's got a match to prepare for on Sunday. The second SmackDown memory is the first ever SmackDown. Triple H versus The Rock with Shawn Michaels as the referee. Sweet chin music to The Rock, which led to Shawn Michaels versus The Rock, didn't it? No, it just didn't. We have the return of King Booker in the back, and I understand wholeheartedly if you want to look at this and say that it was lame, that it was pathetic, cheesy, cliche, whatever, but the return of King Booker to give a pep talk to the SmackDown tag team for Survivor Series. You know, all the rest of the teams are hyped, and then Breezango, who are doing this fashion police gimmick, which again is beneath them. They have a battle of words with King Booker, and he tells them to dress like champions, not like somebody who just came off of Pirates of the Caribbean, which is fine, I guess. I like Breezango as a team, you guys know this. King Booker coming back got a pop out of me, I'm not gonna lie. And the next SmackDown moment was a little tiny moment called the debut of John Cena against Kurt Angle, which the commentators say it after the fact, you know, who would have known back then that John Cena would become what he is now. Now, whether you think of John Cena positively or negatively, a statement like that really holds true. Now, at the end of that night, when he debuted against Kurt Angle, the fact that the last time we saw him on that particular show was getting a handshake from The Undertaker, in retrospect, should have been a sign of things to come, shouldn't it? Nikki Bella versus Carmella is a very interesting match. With a collar and elbow type, a lot of cat and mouse bullshit from Carmella that ends up with a mudhole stomp. Snap vertical suplex by Nikki and a drop kick. Carmella, I don't know what to call this because it almost looks like a Matt Hardy side effect, but she does this weird neckbreaker maneuver from the apron to the floor. She smashes her neck into the edge of the apron as she's taking her from the apron to the floor, and then a rope assisted choke and body scissor to follow up, and then a boot. Everything after this is working the neck. I don't particularly care for Carmella. She's not on the top of my list, but what she did in this match was really good. Sleeper on Carmella and a mudhold stomp and back to the sleeper again, and the commentators even did a great job of talking about the psychology, working on the obviously, you know, injured and surgically repaired neck of Nikki Bella. Then we see Charlotte in the crowd. She's by the guardrail just before we go to commercial break. She holds up a ticket that she bought to SmackDown, and as soon as she shows the ticket, all the fans around her start chanting, "It's legit," which is kind of cheesy, but again, really, really made me laugh as we go to commercial break. As we come back, corner splash and a high knee by Nikki. Carmella eats the guardrail on the outside. Nikki and Charlotte begin to brawl. The referee immediately throws the match out because there's obviously bigger and better things going on. The rest of the female team from Raw come in and attack Nikki and Carmella. It's 6-on-2 because they have the entire 5-woman team plus Dana Brooke. Then Team SmackDown comes out, all 5 of them, plus Natty, their coach. So it's a 6-on-6 brawl. SmackDown stands tall at the end of it. Now, my point, and I said it on Twitter, they each have an extra woman on there. Each team has an extra woman. Charlotte wanted Dana Brooke to be on the team, but Sasha Banks got that spot instead because Dana Brooke sucks. But you know Dana Brooke is going to be at ringside for this match, and Natalya has been actually given a spot in that team's corner on the other side. So why didn't they just... Survivor Series used to be 4-on-4, and eventually over time they expanded it to 5-on-5. If they want all 6 women from both shows involved in this match, why didn't they just make it a 12-woman match? Makes a lot more sense. You're going to get outside interference in a match that's already a pile of people type of match. Speaking of a pile of people match, and I'm sorry, I didn't write down anything for this. I was doing other things while this match was going on. But SmackDown's tag team for Survivor Series, Rhino and Slater, and the Usos, and the Hype Bros, and the American Alpha, and who the fuck's the other team? Breezango, take on all the teams that lost in that equation to get to be on that team in the Spirit Squad, the Vaudevillains, the Headbangers, and the Ascension. Now, you knew they were going to lose this match. You knew it was going to be a gigantic clusterfuck pile of people match. But more to the point, look at Raw. Look at Raw's tag team division. Raw's tag team division is 2 comedy acts that are very stale and 1 badass tag team that never got off the ground in Gallows and Anderson. Looking at this match, you realize for the first time, SmackDown, whether you like them, whether you don't, whether they're legitimate or whether they're jokes, SmackDown has 9 tag teams. 9. Raw had to throw Sheamus and Cesaro into a tag team just to fill out their thing, and the Shining Stars and the Golden Truth and all that bullshit. Grand Amplitude to Thrasher gets the win for Team SmackDown, not good enough to be on SmackDown, obviously, to give them some momentum going forward into Survivor Series. Now, the main event of the show is the returning Edge hosting a Cutting Edge with all of the members of the male 5-on-5 team from SmackDown. He comes out, he thanks the fans, he talks about what SmackDown means to him, congratulates SmackDown on its 900th episode, introduces the members of Team SmackDown, shakes hands with Ellsworth, and is about to do an honorary 5-second pose with Ellsworth when he's, interrupted by AJ Styles. They bicker for a little bit. He addresses Randy Orton. He harkens back to their days with Rated RKO, and then he berates him for joining the Wyatt family. Wyatt insists that we are going to see a bigger, badder, better Viper this Sunday at Survivor Series. He tells Shane he's got his work cut out for him because he doesn't think the team can get along. And AJ then blames Ambrose for the brawl on Monday. The predictable, hey, here's a team, I wonder if they're going to fight, stupid booking of Raw. AJ and Ambrose then argue, hyping up their match in 3 weeks at TLC. 4 reasons. This is going to be a great match. AJ Styles, Dean Ambrose, main event, TLC match for the WWE World Championship is going to be a cool match, and I am looking forward to it. But it's not the time to talk about this. You're muddling up your story a little bit, but it's corrected pretty damn quickly and in possibly the best way you could possibly do on SmackDown. They're interrupted by The Undertaker. They're interrupted by The Undertaker, who comes down. First of all, he stares down Shane McMahon, but then he tells the rest of the team, there is no better man to lead your SmackDown team into Survivor Series than this man over here who has no fear. Then he announces that WrestleMania will no longer define him, which is funny. The guy who's gone on forever and ever and ever, 22-1 or whatever his record is now. But he goes on to define, I started at Survivor Series, my legacy began at Survivor Series, and SmackDown has always been my home. You guys need to realize that you don't need to fear failure, you need to fear me if you fail, basically threatening the entire team. He said he's back taking souls and digging holes, which I'm really, really scared is going to be a cheesy t-shirt. But he finishes it off, as you figured The Undertaker would, telling them all that the team from Raw better rest in peace. Now, there's a couple things that are going to go on here. I don't know what Undertaker means by I'm back and I'm not just defined by WrestleMania. Obviously, he's going to be involved in Survivor Series somehow. Potentially, he's going to be involved in the Royal Rumble somehow. I don't know if this means that Team SmackDown is going to lose, and whoever caused Team SmackDown to lose is going to have to face The Undertaker at WrestleMania. I think that would be a really cool move. Undertaker takes so much pride in being property of the SmackDown brand, which I guess he is, even though he was never drafted. But for example, out of all of them, I would choose AJ Styles. AJ Styles versus The Undertaker could be an amazing match. Now, if AJ fucks up on Sunday, does something that costs Team SmackDown the match, and Undertaker singles him out for it, you have a story point going right from next week, right from episode 901 with Undertaker and AJ Styles. You slow build to WrestleMania. You have Undertaker interfere in the TLC match, get the belt back on Ambrose for a little bit. Little cheesy. His title reign wasn't exactly the greatest thing in the world, but if AJ Styles cost Undertaker's brand a match at Survivor Series, and then Undertaker gives him a receipt by costing him what's most valuable to him in the WWE Championship, there's your feud. right there. You remember when Shawn Michaels was trying to get The Undertaker's attention, trying to get a rematch for WrestleMania 26, and he couldn't, and Undertaker kept turning him down. So Shawn Michaels came in and cost The Undertaker a title shot by eliminating him from the Elimination Chamber before that year's WrestleMania. You could do a very, very similar story here with AJ Styles because all the pieces are there, and the similarities between Shawn Michaels and AJ Styles are worth noting. If this is what they're laying down, I'm pulling this off the top of my head. This is just, this is what I think would be a great way to fantasy book Undertaker versus somebody like an AJ Styles, but that's all speculation. This was a pretty cool thing because if you weren't fighting for your own ego, and if you weren't fighting for the team unity of SmackDown over Raw, which kind of happened last night on Raw, then at the very least, you're going to fight for SmackDown to keep you from getting your own ass kicked by The Undertaker. It's very, very cool. I would have loved to see something more from Edge, but we know that Edge can't compete anymore, which is sad. Puts him kind of on that Daniel Bryan level, where he can be involved in something, but it's never going to turn into anything. Also, considering they're on SmackDown and Mick Foley's on Raw, Edge has got a pretty damn good Mick Foley starter beard going on. It's very, very strange. Anyways, this was a very cool show. It was pretty light. There wasn't anything really, really serious until the end. There was a couple of goofy things, a couple of sort of memorabilia things to acknowledge the 900th episode of SmackDown while still building towards Survivor Series. This show was a success. Last night on Raw was a failure, but then it's Raw, and those two kind of go hand in hand. NXT's tomorrow night, and then you guys know what I'm doing for Survivor Series weekend. It's just down the road in Toronto. I'm going to be there for TakeOver. I'm going to be there for Survivor Series. Put your thoughts down in the box below. Add your questions to the Q&A. The Q&A is coming out sometime next week, and as you guys know, I'm going to be off for December, so that is the last Q&A of the year. If you're holding back, if you got a couple of questions you want to add to the Q&A, if you've never added questions to the Q&A before, I invite you, go back a couple of vids to the October Q&A, add your questions for the version that's coming out next week, and we're going to have a lot of fun with that as well as we wind down the year on this channel. Anyways, that was SmackDown. It was a hell of a show. I've been Spaz, your YWC Reality Check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation, keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I'm tagging out. Bye, guys.